Good morning. I am Andrea with Happy Cloud Creations, and this week I am going over the Frame It Quilt Along week 7. So I'll wait a couple seconds to see if some people jump on. So today, week 7, we're basically finishing our last 4 blocks, and then next week we're finishing our quilts. So, hi Linda. So see, I'll wait a couple seconds. I know I'm a couple minutes late. People are like texting me, where's the video? Like, I can't reply to you if I'm trying to start my video. So usually I'm not on Instagram, but on Facebook, if you go to the Facebook group and you refresh the page, it'll pop up to the top once I've started. Hi, Sue. Hi, Amy. Good morning. You're super behind. That's okay. They go together pretty quickly. Once you start sewing these blocks, they go together really quickly. The most time consuming is probably, doing the center square and square block. Then once you have that done, adding the other strips goes together really quickly. So this week, week 7, we're just finishing the last 4 blocks. I know a lot of people have already finished. If you're on Instagram, you may want to go jump over to the Facebook group and see all the finished tops. There's a lot of finished tops already. Some people get a little excited and work ahead, which is fine, which is kind of hard when some quilt alongs are 1 block a week, and so you can't really work ahead. But when you have the whole pattern in front of you, it's hard not to work ahead, and just finish that quilt top. So this week, last, I guess, what was it? Week 4, I went over how to make the square and square block, this part. And then week 5, I went over how to add the rest and finish your block off. So if you are new to the group or new to my Instagram page and you're needing help with those steps, I've uploaded those videos, the live videos, to my YouTube channel. So you can go to my YouTube channel and watch those if you're needing help with those steps. I finished all my blocks, so I have all of them done now. Once you get all your blocks done, you're going to want to make sure to square them up. So they're square. You don't want any parts of your blocks jetting up or to the side. In the pictures posted, I saw someone put cornerstones in theirs. I might just use that idea. Yeah, I like that. In the Facebook group, someone put little cornerstones in between these blocks, which looked really cute because she had like all these were red colors and she did a red color cornerstone. So it kind of looked like almost like a flower, I think, when you do that, which looked really cute. So once you get these all done, make sure they're all 16.5 inches. If yours are ending up larger than 16.5 and they're all the same size, that's fine. You don't need to trim them down to 16.5. If yours are ending up smaller, which if your seam allowance was a little bit larger than a scant 1/4 inch seam, they may have ended up larger or smaller, which is fine. You just want all 12 of your blocks to be the same size. I know some people are doing bigger quilts. I saw some people are doing a twin size, queen size, king size, which is really cool. So you need, oh, I'm getting strings all over me. 4 blocks for a baby, 12 blocks for a twin, 20 for a 12 blocks for a throw, 20 for a twin, 30 for a queen, and 36 for a king. And that is if you're using sashing. If you're not using sashing, you'll want to make more blocks because this actually, the sashing counts up width and your quilt might be a little too small. So if you did 20 blocks without sashing, that would be more of a throw size than a twin. But you could also put a border around the whole quilt to give it some width and length. I bought the ruler you posted. It's huge. Haha. Yes, so I was excited to get it in the mail. I got a 16-inch square ruler from Amazon because they were on sale. They're $10 off right now. It's kind of frosted, so you can't see through it, which is kind of nice so the lines show up better, I think. I haven't tried it yet. I just got it yesterday. So I'm excited because that way I can trim all sides at once, which is nice. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting over a cold, of course, you know. It's not quite summer, so there's still little cold bugs going around at school. So yeah, so we get all of our blocks squared up this week, finish all our blocks, and then next week, to prepare you for next week, let's see, I wrote a little list. Backing fabric. You want your backing fabric to be at least 3 inches bigger than your quilt top on the tops and bottoms and the side and side. So that's basically 6 inches bigger. So the throw would be, you'd want a total width of 62 by 80, which you could get a twin size sheet, which would work nicely. I'm sorry, I should grab some water. Snow, you want to grab me some water? I'm going to grab some water really quick. Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry, I got a tickle. It's like I think only talking gives you the tickle, you know? All right, so you could use a twin size sheet, or you could just use yardage, which in the directions it tells you throw size you need 3.5 yards. And what you would do is you take that long 3.5 yard strip and you would sew basically 2 panels together like this, selvage to selvage, and then you would have the width by length that you need. And so on and so on for all the different sizes. Some sizes it may be better to do 2 panels this way to get your correct width and length. So because most fabrics are 42 inches, so that would make an about 82 wide usable fabric, and the length of the quilt is only 74 inches for the throw size, for this throw size. But if you add extra borders, you want to take that into consideration when doing your backing and your batting. You want to make sure you have enough to fit that, because you might be like, oh, the quilt size is this, but I'm going to add an extra border, and you're still looking at the amounts that are on the pattern, even though you added to the length and width. You want to make sure before you get your batting and backing that you've added that in. Just a suggestion, my quilter likes to have 4 inches all around larger. So if they're having someone else quilt it, they may want to check their quilter for his or her requirements. That is true. Brenda said, I know that on Instagram someone else had said that they are long armor and they prefer 10 inches wider. They like 5 inches all around. So if you are not quilting it yourself, check with your long armor to see what size batting and backing fabric they need, because they may want larger than 3 inches. I figure on my domestic machine, 3 inches is plenty for me. If you're new to quilting and you want a little bit of leeway, you may want to do a little extra. So you got your backing fabric. You need some batting to go in between those layers. If you're in a warm place and it's warm year round, you could do a layer of flannel in between the layers if you don't want a super heavy quilt. I live in Washington, so it's cold most of the year. So my go-to batting is warm and white, because sometimes with lighter fabrics like this or white fabrics, I don't want anything showing through. This time for this quilt, I went and I purchased on Amazon Warm and Natural. I thought I was buying Warm and White, but I was in a hurry and I accidentally got Warm and Natural, which is not a problem. Let's see if I can open it for you guys. Warm and Natural is more of a cream color than the white. So since my blocks are a darker gray and my backing, I think I might get a gray sheet from Target. I like their Threshold flat sheet because all you have to buy is one flat sheet. And usually it's about like $10, sometimes $11. And a lot of times they have their bedding on sale. And also if you have a Target card, you get 5% off each time. So if you notice with the Warm and Natural, it has a little bit of brown specks. You see that? So when you're using white fabric, I always worry about these brown specks showing through. But I think the warm specks are only on, the brown specks are only on one side. So I typically put this side toward the back of the quilt. But if you have a light colored backing fabric, you might not, you know. See, the inside is more of a cream. If you see the difference, white and cream. But this is a nice option. It's actually cheaper than the Warm and White. So I think that's why I was like, ooh, wow, that one's cheaper. I'm going to buy that. And I didn't realize it was the Warm and Natural. But that's going to be fine with this one because I think I may, Target has a gray colored flat threshold sheet that I'm going to go buy today because I'm going to go do a Target run today. And twin size is adequate for that if you're getting a pre-done batting. I get queen or king size usually. That way I can get more than just one quilt out of it. Like I do pot holders, so my extra amounts of batting from the side and the bottom I'll use for pot holders, table runners, or I'll piece together for a baby backing. And also another one of my favorites is this Warm and Plush. It's more of a cream colored. It doesn't have the brown specks in it as much. It's maybe little tiny bits, but not as much as the Warm and Natural. I like it because it's the same company, Warm. I'm not sponsored by the Warm company, but I just really like that batting. I've tried other battings, cotton battings, and they didn't seem as good a quality. The cheaper one at Joann's wasn't as good a quality, but this one seems consistent thickness throughout. And the Warm and Plush is a little bit thicker than your Warm and Natural or your Warm and White. So when you wash it, it plumps up a little bit more, which makes it a little more cozy. So if you're in a cold climate and you want something a little cozier, I would get that. I use Warm and Natural all the time. I like it too. You do, Linda? I like it. I can't remember the brand I got for my son's twin, and I rolled it out, and there was like parts of the batting that were almost see-through. I was like, whoa, I can't use this for his bed. So I ended up going and getting the Warm and Natural, which was a little more expensive, but it was worth it because it's consistent, the thickness. So you got your batting, and then you're going to need something to base those 3 layers together. You can go old school and use the pins, curved. I like the curved basting pins because they're easier to dig into the 3 layers. I haven't used them in a while because I got hooked on spray based. There's a 505 brand or this June Taylor, which you can find this at Joann's. I like the June Taylor one better. I don't know. I used the 505 and it didn't seem as sticky. Yes, sometimes a little bit of residue ends up on my needle, but I just kind of pick it off with my fingernail. But that could also be because I didn't let the batting, the basting spray dry long enough. I hear if you spray it and then wait like a day and then go and quilt it, you won't have any residue on your needle. Also, I may overspray a little bit just because I want it to be super sticky and I don't want my layers to move at all. But I like getting this. You can always get it with a 50% off coupon at Joann's, which is nice. Makes it a little cheaper. So you want something that's going to combine those 3 layers. I also use the blue painter's tape to tape down my quilt backing to the floor before I put my additional layers on it. So if you don't have any of those blue painter tape, you might want to go grab some blue painter tape too. All right, so what step are we on? So we got the basting done. Once the basting's done, you're gonna quilt it. I find I used to quilt with just my presser foot, but then does it have a strong odor? I don't know. I don't think it has a strong odor. It has an odor, but I don't think. Do other people use this brand? I don't think it has a strong odor, but it does tell you to leave, like, be in a well ventilated area, and I think that might be from, you know, it is a glue kind of, and the spraying agent too, because it says expulsion could result in bodily explosion. Oh, avoid prolonged breathing of vapors. Never used in confined areas or where little to no movement. So I usually open my windows, because I do it in here in the dining room, and I open my 2 windows on my big window when I'm basting, just so that I have a nice airflow, and I don't have to worry about any of the vapors. But if you are someone that is sensitive, or you have allergies, I heard that you probably want to stay away from spray base. It's nice saying hi. So once you got that done, you're going to want to quilt. I used to quilt with my presser foot, and then I went and got one of these walking feet. This one is specifically made for my Janome, but I know on sometimes you can get a generic foot that will fit on several different types of machines. What's nice about it is it has feed dogs, so you have feed dogs in your machine, and this has feed dogs right here that will help pull your quilt top and bottom. So since once you have those 3 layers, it's a lot heavier than when you're just piecing. So the walking foot helps pull all three layers through. So you're basically just guiding it through, and the machine is pulling your quilt through. You're not pulling it through like behind, or pulling it through. You're just kind of guiding it through. And it also, mine came with a guide. So a lot of times I will line this guide up and measure like an inch, and then you do like an inch from each seam, or a lot of times I'll do 1/2 inch. So with this one, I'll probably do 1/2 inch, so that in 1/2 inch from each seam. That way I'll get 1 inch, but it'll be 1/2 inch, because I don't like when it gets too close to the seam, because then it's like you're stitching in the ditch, but you're not. And I'm not a very good stitch in the ditch person. I do more of an organic straight line, so I like to use this as a guide. And also, this is almost like what I usually do is I line this side of it up with the side of my seam, which is almost 1/2 inch. So I like bump it out a tiny bit from that seam, and I can just eyeball it, and makes it about 1/2 inch, which is nice. That's if you're doing straight line quilting. I know some people like to do free motion quilting, which you can get a free motion quilting foot. I still have not used mine. I bought mine, I don't know, maybe 1-2 years ago. It comes with a circular foot. It's so you can see where the needle's going, or you can also, it comes with this open one and this clear one. So I still haven't tested them out. I really need to. It comes also with a plate, because some machines will let you lower the feed dogs, because instead of your foot and your machine pulling the quilt through, you're going to be moving it through, because you're going to be doing the free motion quilting. And so you're just kind of needing to see where your needle's going. And with that, you're going to want to, you know, consistent movement. You don't want to go fast and slow, because then your stitches will be different sizes. So consistent with that. So let's see. And then after you're done quilting it, which next week I'll go over a few different ways that I like to quilt. Yeah, I'm going to be jumping on here next week to go over all the steps, how to attach our sashing, how to attach the binding, kind of what quilting styles I like to do, and attaching the binding strip. For the binding, you're going to need binding fabric. I just got this storm color. I thought that would be nice to go with the navies in this quilt. I like Stash Fabrics Kona cottons because they print a little label and they put it on for you. So that way, if you have any scraps left over, you can just keep this little sticker and put it on your scraps and you know what color it is. Because I saved some of my pink fabric once and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's this color. I even matched it up to the Kona color card, and then I realized when I got it in the mail, I'm like, yep, that's just a slightly shade different. So if you like label your remnants, that's a good idea. Hello, Lisa. I'm glad you could join. And so the binding, I used to use pins to pin my binding. So first you sew it to your quilt, and then I like to wrap it over and hand sew it on. There's some people that like to machine sew it. I'm not very good at machine sewing, so I hand bind it. And I used to just use little pins to kind of hold the binding down while I'm doing it. But then I heard about these clips, which everybody probably knows about binding clips. They keep it down for you. And I usually just use 4 at a time. And once I get to that clip, I move the first one to the end, first one to the end. So I don't actually pin the whole thing at once. I just do 4 at a time. And these are really helpful. Not necessary, but helpful. I think these are Clover brand. You can find all sorts of brands online or in your local quilting shop. And then also you're going to want a thimble if you're going to do hand stitching. This is a Clover one that I got at Joann's. It has this little metal pad on it, but it seemed like whenever I use the metal pad, it would break the thread at the needle a lot, like at the needle eye. So I ended up just using this side of the thimble. It's actually starting to get worn in. You see that? So I may need to get a new one soon, but it definitely saves your finger. Instead of stabbing it into your finger. I used to not use a thimble and my finger would just be like so sore. You like the clips too, Brenda? I love them. I didn't know about these until recently. Right, Linda? So I didn't know about them until I saw them probably on Instagram. I'm like, wow, those are really nifty. I got to try them. I haven't used them with other things. I know some people use them when sewing leather and stuff so you don't have to poke it with a needle. Other than that, I think that would get you set for next week. I know some people are at that stage, and it's really cool to see all of your guys' quilts getting finished. I like seeing all the different layouts because I know some people are trying to match up the dark colors together, like say all the blues go together to form like a circle design within a design kind of. This one is kind of random. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with mine yet. I'll see. I don't know if I'm going to do random or try to do design with a design. But I definitely am going to do sashing. I had toyed about making the outer sashing a little bit wider. So right now it's 2.5-inch strips. And if I have any extra fabric, I may do the sides and the top maybe a little bit larger, like a 3.5 or 4 if I have enough fabric. If not, I'll just stick with a 2.5. How are you guys doing? Are you guys liking the quilt along? I know a lot of people in the group are already done, doing faster than I am, guys. I am behind as my college kids were home last week. One has wisdom teeth removed. That's no fun. I remember getting my wisdom teeth removed. Yeah, you guys help me stay on top of it because I'm like, ooh, I have to do a video on Tuesday. I need to get my button gear and sew. So that kind of helps me stay with it. But I still need to finish quilting my Cloudy Day quilt sampler. It's like a little more than 3/4 of the way quilted. And then I'll be done with it, and then I can bind it. I don't know what's holding me up. I think once I finish this top, I may try to, like, maybe after I quilt this one, I'll quilt the Cloudy Day sampler too, and try not to, well, I already started a new quilt, but maybe try to work that one in too, because it's really sad just having finished tops, but they're not finished quilts yet. And it'd be nice to have a finished quilt, maybe gift it to someone or sell it in my shop. So let's see. I love this Quilt Along. Yay, Sue! I'm so happy you love it. I was kind of worried that since the blocks are kind of easy, that it would be too easy for a Quilt Along. But I noticed a lot of people are doing bigger sizes, like twin and queen and king. So that kind of gives you a little extra room for those of you that are doing a bigger size. I have really enjoyed this pattern. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. I'm so happy you like it. You know, when you design a pattern, sometimes you worry that it will flop, you know, that nobody will like it. But I'm really happy that a lot of people like this one. And you love it because it's easy, Linda. I love easy. So that's me. Like, I want a cool looking quilt, but I don't want it to be super difficult and take me a year to make. I want to make a quilt in a month, you know, or 2 months. Something that's going to take me a year, I'm going to lose interest in. So quick, easy, and a cool design. That's my goal when I make quilts and make quilt designs. So I'm glad you guys like it. So I think that's about it for this week. Next week, I will jump on at 10 o'clock Tuesday to go Pacific Daylight Savings Time to go over adding our sashing, basting our quilts, quilting our quilts, binding our quilts, and then you guys will be set. I'm not sure. I know somebody has already asked me about the next Quilt Along. I don't have any plans so far. I'm working on a new quilt design, but that's not quite testers yet because I need to get working on it. I cut it all out, started sewing on it, so I need to get that finished into testers. Maybe if we do another Quilt Along, I will have you guys vote again to see which one you guys would prefer, because last time, I know for you Instagram people, you might be a little left out. Facebook group, I did a poll to see which ones everyone wanted to do as the Quilt Along, and everybody chose this frame it quilt. So maybe for the next one, I will do that as well, a poll, and that probably earliest that we would do one would be May. I'm thinking May. That way we get a little break, give time for people to finish up this quilt. Maybe I can finish up my Cloudy Day quilt sampler too. So we'll see. So I guess I will jump off because I'm just rambling now. I am also doing 2 other Quilt Alongs, and it's nice to have a fairly easy one in the mix. That's what I was thinking. There is a lot of Quilt Alongs going on right now, and it's hard to join one if all of them are super hard and a super hard or big workload, you know. So I'm glad you like that it's easy, and I hope it's not too much for each week. I know there's some people doing larger sizes, so they feel like they're behind, but you're not behind. It's okay. We all work at our own speeds, and eventually we'll get our quilts done, right? Also, I notice if you like, I'm going to give this quilt to so-and-so, it also helps you actually complete it a little faster, I think, because I'm like, ooh, I'm going to give this one to so-and-so. Okay, got to get that finished before I see them again. So maybe that might help you guys get a little motivated to finish up. So I will see you guys next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Have a great week, and keep posting your pictures. Post on Instagram, post on Facebook. I love seeing all of them, and thank you all for joining in. It makes me really happy to see everybody's different variations. So goodbye. Have a great day. And